Okay, so welcome everyone for our discussion related to Agile and Scrum. I know it was a short notice, and thank you for taking time out in a confusing environment for this conversation. Now, first question which we got is that how to use Agile kind of stuff in an enterprise application. Now, say when we do enterprise application, as you have explained, it is more like that you have a ready-made solution and there is a one way of doing things. The business process, business model is quite defined, and with that you need to map the customer's way of doing into it. Yeah, so this is pretty much we look into, I would say, ready-made solutions which just required installation and configuration. Now here the agility is more focused on how incrementally we introduce the product to the business. So it's like this, rather than talking about that business will use the complete feature on the first day, you may identify which are the core areas, how do you go about it, and how do you make the business users start using that part of it. Now, it's not necessarily that you follow a Scrum framework. It's not necessarily that there is that the way Scrum is designed, you use that way. What you primarily use in such kind of application is iterative and incremental approach. So in the iterative part may be less since everything is already designed, but incremental part is quite significant in even in those kind of enterprise application where you are deploying things. So and I believe many of the existing ERP applications methodology considers good amount of agility. They talk about identifying key users, giving a demo to the key user, configuring the system for them, then running pilot 1 and then running pilot 2, and collecting a lot of information, picking up some selective data, and this is how you do it. Now, when you do it, you are already doing iterative and incremental work, and that type of agility is expected in those kind of application. Now, you can add to your question here, and then probably we can have some follow-up conversation around that.
That answers, Saket. Thank you.
Great, yeah, great. So this was a question related to how to use this application and agile word into iterative or in a ERP or enterprise solution space. Now, the new participant, I have allowed you to speak as well. So I am answering Arti's question, and then by that time you can pick up something which you have in your mind, and then probably we can talk about it. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for acknowledging. So I know you have the system clear.
Yes.
Now, let's look at the second question, which is kind of related to agile word, and in a way not related to agile word. It's more related to a certification word. So the PMP exam, which the PMBOK 6 has a good amount of agility into it. You know, you have agile practice guide, and you have all the processes which are there in the knowledge area sections. They also pick up agility. You know, so it's like when you are doing project time or scheduling thing, they pick up how to do this in agile word. When you are talking about monitoring, then they also talk about practices like retrospective and iterative and incremental development. So in my perspective, when I look at PMBOK 6, it covers the predictive way of doing and adaptive way of doing quite well. It perfectly covers quite well. Now, the question comes in is that how the PMP exam looks at it. That is the PMP exam is focusing too much on agile, or it remains more focused on the predictive life cycle. So now PMI is coming up with a new exam, but thanks to all this confusion, the exam dates is postponing and postponing. So it's still say January 2021. Our current pattern and current way of doing PMP exam will continue. So there is no change. Yeah, there was a change which was expected to mid-year. It has been postponed. So the change proposed was that 50% of the content will come from adaptive life cycle, but the current reality is that you find around 10 to 20% content which has a flavor of agile in it. Rest are either they are generic. See, talking and managing conflict and working with people and a leadership style. There is a lot of content which has not direct relationship with predictive or iterative life cycle. They are just content. You just need to do management, and there are different way of doing management style. So that part remains, I would say, generic. So in a way, you can say it's agile as well as non-agile. But there are many which are like cost management related stuff, and other time scheduling related stuff. So the current exam is still heavy on predictive side, which includes continuous elaboration and rolling wave planning. That part is anyway there. So you should not assume, and that was there in PMBOK 5 as well. You should not assume that once you have made project management plan, it's final. PMI and PMBOK or PMP exam like it has no such kind of opinion about it. But yeah, the content and terminology more towards non-adaptive focused in the current PMP exam. In future they will change. Any follow-up question here on this part?
No, this is good enough. So when you said you this because as per what I know of, July was the timeline when they were revising the PMP this. So now you said it would be Jan 2021.
Yeah, it's Jan 2021. So it's a recent development. The last week we got, or I would say 2-3 days ago we got this email. Yeah,
Okay, so
recent
would there
development.
be any, would that be updated in the PMI site just
Yeah,
for
yeah, yeah. You
confirmation?
you you must get this communication clearly mentioned in the PMI side.
Okay,
So as
okay,
a provider, we got an email. So I have not checked on the site directly, but it's a public
okay,
information. Many
okay,
people have shared it on the social media as well. So it's a public information.
okay, sure.
Yeah,
Thank you, Saket.
great. So while hearing these two questions, if you get something else, please bring it forward. And Senthil, now if you have something to say, it's a time.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, go
Hi,
ahead,
Saket.
go ahead.
I'm
Yeah.
on. Yeah. Thanks, Saket. Yeah. Just I want to introduce myself. My name is Sindhil Kumar. I'm working as a senior test lead and also as a part of a Scrum Master. I had done the certification with Tyson Bridge last July. Okay. So I just want to know about something like improving about the velocity. The management is asking about to increase the velocity in the forthcoming upcoming sprints. That's the
Mhm.
main goal of the or main motive of the management. So, how effectively, what metrics I can follow, which will help me to improve the productivity of the team members? Because,
Okay.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the main question where I can concentrate more and I can do this.
Thank you. And it's a complicated one. It's a complicated
Yeah.
one. So it's like this, and I just start with the background so others can also relate to it. So sometime we have a management which is focusing on productivity, and they have been doing it for long time. Now the team started using something different. Now they are using something called Scrum, and then they ask the same question. Okay guys, you are using something different, but I always measure productivity. How do I measure productivity with you guys? And then someone answers it that in Agile and Scrum we have something called velocity. You can measure that. It says, okay, show it to me and tell me how do you improve it. Yeah, so it becomes a simple case. Now I understand they must be having their reasons to do it because they want to see how things are improving. But there are some risks associated with it. So if you are a Scrum Master, you need to see both the dimensions. That okay, I need to understand the management has an interest to know how things are going and are we improving and going in a right direction. And at the same time, if I look at a velocity as an answer to it, there are risks associated with it. So let me explain those risks. See, the velocity is, so what is velocity? It's a sum total of the work items size which you did in a given sprint or iteration. You pick up 4 items, you size them in some way, either using story point or using some point. You size them in a particular way, and then you sum them together and say this is done. Yeah, and you want to show that this is something which we have achieved. Now, why do we do that? Because it helps us in identifying what probable speed we can go with, and that helps us in giving projections. So that my team have been like doing 10 points work per sprint, then they can do 30 points work in upcoming 3 sprints. So it helps you to project, and that's the intent, so that we get some sense. Now we do want to see some increment in it as the team matures and how things move forward. But there is a side of it, so it's a sum total of a size. So when you look at velocity, there are 2 parameters which you need to consider. One is, how do you size the item, and how do you declare that this is completed, it's done? Because only the completed item get counted for velocity, because else it is not complete, it's not complete. Now, if you focus too much on velocity number, there is a probability that the team may give a better number, but still you are not getting the desired outputs. I'm not using the word outcome, outputs, because it's primarily a measurement of output only, the velocity. For example, the possible hack which someone can do, I can size little more the item, and can tell that I have done it, and that can show me that I have done more work, but actually I have done a similar amount of work. That's a one possible trick I can do. The another possible trick I can do is, I can mark something done, and I can keep 2-3 defects open, and I can create my definition of done, which doesn't include defect. I says I have completed it. Yeah, there are a few defects. We will take care of them as per the process, or we will put them into somewhere. So you mark the work done, but it still has some undone work which got created in the process, and now you are doing more and more work, and you are leaving more and more defects, and you have reduced the rigor of your definition of done. Now, if I, as a Scrum Master, only start talking about, guys, we need to increase the number, increase the number, increase the number, there is a possibility that these kind of a adjustment starts happening in the team. So it's an important number, but I should not be focusing on this number as a target. I should be focusing on this number as an observation. But it's an observation. It should improve if the team is learning over a period of time. Now, how should I improve it? With the help of team, we do retrospect and identify how can we do better in the next sprint. What are the things which they really didn't like the way it happened in the previous sprint. And as a Scrum Master, I facilitate those conversations, and I remove the bottlenecks. I facilitate. Maybe there was some communication issue, there is a delay issue, or the team pick up so much work in a one go. The work in progress limits are not taken care well, and that is why they end up doing less work at the end of a sprint. So my idea here is, we facilitate team to find out how do they become more productive themselves. And rather than putting always a target on number, we focus on the details. Okay, what all we have done previous sprint, and what all we are doing this sprint. So how we are progressing sprint by sprint. So look for how management can help in team producing more. Yeah, how can they make the process simpler? How can they support them in automation? What kind of a skills team needs to acquire in order to get things done? What kind of a clarification they end up raising during the sprint, and how much time does it take to clarify those clarification from the business? So as a Scrum Master, I think you can look at these all possible systematic issue which can help you in getting better output. Yeah, so follow-up question, and share your comment around it.
Yes, I can. That's a really good answer. Actually, I'm missing that, but like we need to remove that bottlenecks instead of forcing them to take that more velocity. Also, I agree that point where you're telling you're mentioning the definition of now done, but still the open defects are there. That that's one valid thing we are doing. Uh, I observed.
Yeah,
Yeah, thanks.
yeah,
Yeah, I
thank
got that
you.
second.
Yeah,
Really thanks. Good answer. Thank
thank you.
you. Really great.
Uh, so I pause, and in this process, if of our other participant got some question related to this topic, I can talk. Else we hope Siddharth may want to talk something, a new participant. But before that, anyone else has a question here? Okay, so hi Siddharth, we have allowed you to speak. So if you wanna say something and bring up something here as a question, you're welcome to do. You just need to unmute yourself and get started.
Yeah, actually, I had a question
Please.
regarding what is the difference with normal Scrum Master and advanced Scrum Master course.
And maybe a super advanced Scrum Master course later.
Yeah. It is a marketing practice, or really there is something new?
Okay, let me explain. Thank you, Siddharth, for bringing it. So, see, one is what do you do, and the another is how what all skills you learn and how do you reach that level. Now, first is a conversation related to generic Scrum Master, or generic certification, and then we get into a specific detail of what is advanced Scrum Master as a program. Now, certifications helps you to differentiate yourself from the existing professionals. It shows some credibility that okay, you know something, you have invested your time, money, and energy, and that is why someone should look at you. Yeah. Now, after giving this message, somebody looks at you, and then they probably definitely ask questions, and they try to understand what you really do and what you really understand, and based on that, they will make a judgment about your capability or fitment. I would say primarily a fitment for that particular organization. Now, so this is like a background. Now, without doing certified Scrum Master or with doing certified Scrum Master, you can definitely keep improving your Scrum Master skills. How can you improve? In today's world, there is no limit of information. You go to internet and you can find out anything. So it's a progressive learning which one does after doing his or her certified Scrum Master class. Certified Scrum Master class is a foundational class. You get to know agile, you spend good time even clarifying what is agile and what is not agile, and then you get into what is scrum and how the role of scrum master works around that, and you get an understanding of, so in a way you get a knowledge of scrum. Now, when you come back from that knowledge and you start applying that knowledge in your real world, you may get some questions. And I definitely encourage all of you, whoever has taken Certified Scrum Master class, to keep exploring and keep talking in a community, look at the video, read books, and experiment in their own environment to learn more and more and more. So you continue doing that. Now, in the learning process, there are other certification and training programs also which can help you. They are not the only way to grow, but they are good facilitator to grow, and and many of them also bring a label and credential to you, which may also help you to make your learning little smart, specific measurable thing. So advanced Scrum Master class, if I get into the class, is more on taking the knowledge to a more skill practice. So there you will spend more time in practicing daily scrum rather than knowing daily scrum. You will spend more time in practicing sprint planning, practicing retrospective, and practicing lot of scrum ceremonies. So I would say it is like zooming in into scrum, and the curriculum, the trainer will help you to zoom in and facilitate that conversation. Beside that, the other benefit of Scrum Alliance, you take the next step, you can move forward in a Scrum Alliance journey over a period of time. If you want to do that, if you care about that perfectly, or if that makes sense, business sense for you, you can do that. Yeah. Any follow-up questions, Siddharth? You need to unmute yourself. I am unmuting you now. Hopefully you can speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, but how much the gap we should take? Means once we have done CSM, then how much time we should take for advanced Scrum? Any
Now,
suggestion?
great. So in general, the way Scrum Alliance designed these learning path, they were expecting that every year someone wants to grow in their professional career. So what they were looking at it is a Scrum Alliance after doing CSM, we don't have an incremental learning path. So next year, what should this guy do? So they were thinking like that, and they said, okay, the guy go for a CSM class first, and then he studies CSM, he applies those things. Maybe next year he comes to do a ACSM, and somethingly every year he can do one, and we give a 4 or 5 years of learning path. Now that's the kind of thing they have thought about. Now, in practice, what I observe, it all depends upon individual's goal with their certification. And many who wants to get into little consulting, coaching world, they want to have something differentiated in their profile. They do it early. There are people who are primarily into project management and they only came for CSM class just to understand what is Agile and Scrum. They don't even renew the CSM, So there is a good percentage of individuals, around 60-70% of the individuals who just end up doing CSM once and they don't even care about the certificate anymore. So there is that population also. And there is some population which is in between, which is following the natural learning path. I'm talking about Indian market. I don't know about the other places. And these data which I'm sharing is based on my observation, personal observation. After 3 years in India, there are some in between who does this A-CSM when they think of renewing their CSM and they get some time. So this is how probably I can share some patterns. Your decision only you can make. Okay, so if that generate any question to anyone based on what we discussed, please click on unmute button and get started.
What is the cost of the ASM, advanced certification?
So A-CSM, if I am not wrong, in India it is around 30 to 35,000. Yeah, that's what the Indian price is. Globally, it's around. You can do online as well. Globally, it's around 1,200 to $1,500. Right now, we are running something. We have some promotional stuff going on. So if you have some interest because of the chaotic environment, and we feel that this is a time person should get ready for post virus time, so there was a past and this is a present which we are in a chaotic space, an uncertain space. But once this chaos settles down, the future will not be same as past, it will be different. Yeah. So what we feel is that some may want to get ready for that future time, so we are running some special assistance for A-CSM. So whoever is your sales guy, you just WhatsApp the person, maybe Deepak, Abhishek, whoever it is, and they will definitely help you.
Thank you, Saket. Yeah.
Yeah.
Saket, this is Prabhanjan. I have a question, and it's more of a mentoring that I'm looking at from
Please.
your side. So no, I fall in that category where no, I'm from project management side and took CSM just to understand the intricacies of it, right? And like I mentioned before, I come from the enterprise solutions background where the scope of doing a real Scrum is very less, right? So our metrics are quite different from what we generally learn in CSM or CSPO. In fact, I've done CSPO also because I
Okay.
thought that might be a little bit more relevant to me
Okay.
in terms of making the product better and all that,
Great. Yeah.
right? But no, the area where I'm actually struggling is no, we don't really rely on velocity or user story. Uh, Sizing and all those things, right? So our way of working at least for now is a little bit different. But
Mm-hmm.
if I am to learn those things, would there be an opportunity that you guys can provide us where let's say we can do some mock projects or an access to Jira or Rally where we can do that on a cloud, try it out for a month or two, understand how do we come up with those metrics and make ourselves more comfortable. This I'm asking because after doing CSM and CSPO, I'm actually thinking of going towards a coaching path, right?
Perfect. Yeah. Perfect.
Because I have a little bit of passion in that area,
Mm-hmm.
and I actually uh, do train a lot of folks in my company on the
Mm-hmm.
product that I'm working on. I've trained like more than 200, 300 folks already.
Perfect.
But
So
this is the area where I want to explore.
perfect. So there are multiple dimensions. One is definitely we can explore how can we create an environment where something like that can get simulated. That's the important thing, and I will explore that possibility. The another possible sharing I can do is to use your current environment and carve out your coaching and consulting path. Now, what I believe is that you want to get into agile coaching and consulting, and good number of organization, what I would say majority of organization, are into a complex and enterprise solution domain, which you belongs, and there will be some extension or some modifications of it. Now, initial agile adoption was more focused on product companies where creativity was there, everybody was coming together, and you put something across and you go the way you learn things in a training class. But as things became complex and big, the different word of agility is emerging. And this different word of agility is more pragmatic. It is more considering the complex multi-vendor, multi-location, kind of multiple teams kind of environment. So that could be your asset rather than your weakness if you focus on your current environment and see what kind of an agility patterns are emerging in that environment, and you train and coach people in those areas. So see, learning about how to estimate and how to do things, maybe you simulate a small application which is on a website, but your experience is on enterprise. So it can give you some clarity to teach both the markets. Maybe you can teach a small website company as well, and you can teach to an enterprise solution as well. But your core strength will be more towards what you have been doing. So I would encourage to explore that part, and you may start exploring as a framework, not necessarily doing certification, and you can consider doing certification as well. You can explore scaled agile framework, and you, if when you check some of the video content, you may start seeing that okay, this is how we usually operate. You might be already operating in that kind of model, and it's a huge growth potential where you do that. The another thing which you can do is in your environment, if there are multiple teams, you can is there is a possibility of one team is having more abstract and innovative work, and for that small team you may use some part of or a scrum way of working. So you can say that okay, I have a multiple team, and this team is primarily focusing on pure scrum way of doing, and that can open up some of the possible options for you. The third thing, which is again related to creating a simulated environment, there have been effort done by us as well as others, where we created community groups and we created community level Scrum Master and all. But usually they dry out after a while, because not everybody has time over a longer period of time. So that experiment we can try again. One thing is we can try again, and you can also check some of the other communities where they might be trying those experiment again. So these are the possible ideas I can share.
Sure. Thanks, Saket. Scaled agile was definitely one of the ways I wanted to. In fact, I should have been in a class right now, but because of the virus, it got postponed.
We are doing it. We are doing it next week. In case you want to check, yeah, we are doing it online in the similar way, the way we are sitting right now. You can explore. I'm not saying, but yeah, if you want to explore, we are doing it next week. Yeah, next to next week.
Sure,
Sorry, not
sure.
next week.
So,
Next to next week. Yeah, yeah. There is something we are doing.
sure. So this one actually was sponsored by company. I'll
Yeah,
check
sure.
if
Yeah,
online
sure,
possibilities.
sure, sure. And even the companies, Scale Agile is also allowing companies to do it for their. So your company internal trainer might also be running the online class at some point in time. Yeah, if this thing prevail, because Scale Agile is allowing that. So that's the one path. But even
Yeah.
if you have not gone through a certification, you can go to a YouTube and write scaleagileframework.com. You will get my video of 25-26 minutes. That's a good starting point. Just check that out, and once you get it, then visit scaleagileframework.com. And it's a such a huge knowledge base on agile and agile related stuff. So but you may get lost if you go directly there. So I would recommend you check that 25-26 minute video first, and then go to the scaleagileframework.com, and then look for an opportunity when you get certified and trained.
Sure, sure, Saket. In fact, thank you for all your videos. I've watched some of them before, and they're really very helpful. And before attending CSM and CSPO, I
Uh-huh.
did watch your videos, and unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to take the class from you. I'm from Hyderabad.
Okay.
Mr. Shekhar Burra took the class there,
I
but
know
would love
CSMT.
to attend any of your classes. Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Great. Yeah. Now, anyone else got some inspiration by hearing and listening this question and answer? Please bring it forward. Yeah, it's a small group, so you can speak.
No, thanks. Actually, we'll go through that video first about the scaled agile framework. So
Great,
it's a
great.
new topic we got. We'll go through that. Yeah.
Yes, 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 yes. So I pause for some time to check if there is something new emerging, else we start the closing. Good. I think we are in a good shape. Oh, Senthil, you want to say something?
I just want to ask any metrics you want to suggest to follow. Uh, Actually,
Yeah,
we have the burn down chart like that. And any specific metrics in progress sprint and end of the sprint?
sure, sure. See, now, why do we follow metrics? Because we want to solve some problem and we want to get feedback on how things are happening. So if you have a flexibility and you can influence your stakeholder, you need to ask a question, uh, which metrics can help me in doing what? Say, there could be a metrics which can help me in projecting when this thing is going to finish. Okay, is this the problem I am looking for? Or I am looking for a problem of how aligned my team is with the customer feedbacks. So what I suggest is there is a hundreds of matrices. If you want to just see list of them, I just spoke about scaled agile. Even if you don't use SAFe, go to scaleagileframework.com and click on metrics. You will see so many matrices, ready-made examples which are there at a team level, program level. There are so many. Now, idea is that what is my major issue? I need to find a metric which can help me in solving that. So if my major issue is predictability, yeah, if my major issue is that there is no predictability of meeting sprint goals, then I may focus on that, okay, how aligned we are with sprint goals, how frequently we are meeting sprint goals. And you may also check velocity because you want to create a predictable release date based on that. Not to check the productivity, but you are saying that this helps me in achieving the end of release date. But again, if your scope is very volatile, now this requirement of predicting end of release thing usually works when your scope is little stable. You have a clarity of what all story points, what all user stories will fall at a higher level in a given release. If the scope is little volatile, then this predictability stuff is not needed. Who cares? Yeah, what was the velocity? We only care which feature went in and what customer got out of it. So if you are in a space where big releases are not happening, but incremental features are getting pushed, then you may start looking at a metrics like a lead time. How much time does it take from customer requesting an enhancement and customer getting that enhancement in their system? So that metrics may become an important metrics for you. If you want to make sure that teams should remain focused on sprint goals and the sprint backlog thing, then burn down chart inside the sprint is useful because you can show where we are going, and you have been seeing that this is the problem because we wake up, most of the team wakes up towards the end and doing extra work in the last few days. Then progressive looking at burn down chart can help you in solving that problem. So I spoke about burn down chart, I spoke about velocity, I spoke about lead time. Yeah, there could be a defect and quality related stuff also, if that is your focus area, that you want to see that how much accumulation of technical debt happening, where the defects are going, how much accumulation of defects are happening. So you may have defect count and defect accumulation related metrics to tell you overall quality. It could be before defect also. You may talk about coding quality related stuff. So find the major problems, and there should not be too many. So find some major problems which are in existence right now, and find a metric which can help you in solving that. After some time, your problem may get shift, and you may need a different metric to track that. Something like this.
Got it, second. Yeah.
Yeah.
My main motive we need to figure out. Then that metrics we have to work out, right? That is what
Yeah,
we.
and that's the great thing you said, because in general, that is what we end up, many of the scrum masters or project managers end up missing. They say, okay, this is the metrics my company has told me, I need to measure
Hmm.
this. But what I end up missing is, this measurement is helping me doing what? What do I learn when this measurement go up? What do I learn when this measurement goes down? What corrective and preventive action I should take based on this measurement? If that part is not clear to me, and even I don't have a clue of what will I do with it, then it will be boring, and people will not put the data, and you will also not have a healthy, there will be no right metrics also, because nobody cares about it. It was just there for the sake of it, for the process of capturing it.
Fine.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah.
Great. So again, I take a final pause. Good. So thank you everyone for participating. We do share this video with other participants as well. And I understand it was a very short notice, and you all turned up and stayed and spoke and contributed in the conversation, because without your contribution, conversation cannot happen. So thank you, and hope to see you sometime in another webinar or in our face-to-face events. Thank you.
Thank you very much, second. Yeah.
Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Saket, and
Bye.
thank you all the participants for all the questions. Learned a lot.
Yeah.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Bye, Aarti.